Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to do Val Kilmer's top 10 best movies. He's another underrated actor and I grew up with a lot of his films, so I thought it would be fun to take a look back at some of his best films. But first I have to mention two films that aren't on the list because I feel his roles are too minor to be considered. Those films are Top Gun and True Romance. Both are great films, especially True Romance, one of my favorites of all time. If Kilmer had a bigger role in it, it would probably be number one. Now let's get to the top 10. Sit back, relax, and let the show begin. Number 10 is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Released in 2005 and directed by Shane Black. Shane Black has been in the business for a very long time as an actor, writer, director. You may remember him as Hawkins in Predator. Then later in 2018, he would go on to direct The Predator. He also would work with Robert Downey Jr. again after this film on Iron Man 3, which he also directed. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a great underrated hidden gem starring Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr. Their chemistry is excellent. Their interactions and dialogue are hilarious. While Downey Jr. is being chased by the cops, he stumbles into a Hollywood audition. And while hiding from the cops, he goes over the scene. The casting director loves him. He is sent to see Val Kilmer, who is a private investigator, to prepare for his upcoming role, which he will be playing a private investigator. And let the good times roll. Definitely check this one out for a good laugh. Number 9 is Thunderheart. Released in 1992 and directed by Michael Apted, it was also produced by Robert De Niro. De Niro would play a big part in the hiring of Kilmer in Heat 3 years later as well. Thunderheart is a solid film. Val Kilmer plays an FBI agent sent to a South Dakota town to investigate a murder of a tribal council member. He starts to unravel the mystery, finding corruption within the FBI. There's also a spiritual element to the film. The Native Americans start to believe Kilmer is a reincarnated soul sent to help them. They recognize him as Thunderheart. I enjoyed this film. It may not be for everyone, but it's worth at least one watch. Number 8 is Tombstone. Released in 1993 and directed by George P. Cosmatos. The original director, Kevin Jowry, was fired for falling behind the shooting schedule. Tombstone could have been executed better, but still a very good solid Western with an excellent cast all around. Especially Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday, an alcoholic gunslinger. His performance is top-notch, and it's what I remember most when I think about Tombstone. Well, that and the scene where Kurt Russell slaps Billy Bob Thornton and asks him if he's going to do something about it or just stand there and bleed. Classic. Good times. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Number 7 is The Saint. Released in 1997 and directed by Philip Noyce, The Saint was a massive hit, making over $160 million on a $70 million budget. Val Kilmer decided not to reprise his role as Batman, which freed him up to lead a big-budget movie, and after a ton of so-called A-listers turned down The Saint, Val Kilmer agreed to do it. It's a fun espionage thriller, also starring Elizabeth Shue. It's got a great story. I love the filming locations, and Val Kilmer is excellent. His different disguises are brilliant. There's a total of 12 different disguises and accent changes that Kilmer pulls off perfectly. The Saint is a blast. Number 6 is The Real McCoy. Released in 1993 and directed by Russell Macaulay. I absolutely love this movie. I grew up with it and I still enjoy watching it today. The cast is solid all around with Kim Basinger and Terrence Stamp starring alongside Val Kilmer. Kim Basinger, recently out of prison for robbing a bank, is blackmailed into doing it again by Terrence Stamp. Val Kilmer teams up with her to help her finish the job. It bombed at the box office, but it's a fun movie and Kilmer is hilarious in this role. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend it. Number 5 is Wonderland. Released in 2003 and directed by James Cox, this film is excellent. Val Kilmer plays ex-porn star John Holmes, who's a suspect in 4 murders. The cast is solid all around. I love the Laurel Canyon filming locations, and the story is top-notch. I also really enjoy the editing and how they show multiple versions of what happened depending on who's telling the story. Val Kilmer is excellent. He's the driving force of the film. It's a very good film that doesn't get enough praise. Number 4 is Kill Me Again. Released in 1989 and directed by John Dahl, he's made some other favorites of mine like Red Rock West, Rounders, and Joyride. I love Kill Me Again. It's an excellent neo-noir thriller that not many people know about. It also stars Val Kilmer's wife at the time, Joanne Whalley Kilmer, and Michael Madsen. In the film, Michael Madsen and Joanne Whalley rob money from the mob. She decides to knock him out, taking all the money for herself. She drives to Reno. I love the filming locations. While in Reno, she looks up a private investigator played by Val Kilmer. He's down on his luck and owes money around town. She asks him to help fake her death for $10,000 so her ex won't find her. He needs the money, so he accepts. It's a great film. The only knock I'd give it is that the ending feels a bit rushed. It would have benefited more by being 5 to 10 minutes longer. But other than that, Kill Me Again is excellent. Number 3 is Heat. Released in 1995 and directed by Michael Mann. Of course, the big news at the time was that De Niro and Pacino were going to star in a movie together. Although they were in Godfather 2, they never had any on-screen scenes together. The other interesting fact is that Keanu Reeves was hired for Kilmer's part, but Reeves decided to drop out. Michael Mann wasn't sure who to hire, so De Niro suggested Val Kilmer. Kilmer at the time was just getting through a real-life divorce to Joanne Whalley, and people started saying he was difficult to work with. De Niro vouched for him, and the rest is history. Heat is excellent, and Kilmer was the right choice, even over Keanu Reeves. The action scenes are so well done, and the performances all around are top-notch. They just don't make them like this anymore. Number 2 is Willow. Released in 1988 and directed by Ron Howard, this is a childhood favorite of mine. Absolutely love this fantasy adventure. Warwick Davis as Willow and Val Kilmer as Mad Mardigan are excellent together. Joanne Whalley also stars, and this is where Val Kilmer and Joanne Whalley started dating. Willow is such a unique little film. I love the visuals and special effects. The look of the evil queen and her head general used to spook me out when I was a kid. I still love this film today. I'm sure most of you have seen this one, but if it's been a while, it's time to revisit this classic. Number 1 is The Doors. Released in 1991 and directed by Oliver Stone. Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison is gold. Kilmer was born to play this role. Oliver Stone didn't see it that way in the beginning, though. The story goes that Kilmer really wanted the part, but Oliver Stone was reluctant to hire him. So Kilmer gave him a tape with 3 Doors songs on it. He told him 2 of the songs Jim Morrison is singing, and the other one, Kilmer was singing. He asked Oliver Stone if he could tell the difference. Stone couldn't and eventually hired him. Then Kilmer revealed it was actually him singing for all 3 songs. The Doors is an excellent film. It captures that moment in time perfectly. The performances are amazing. The music and editing make the film flow beautifully. The Doors is fantastic. Anyway, so that's the list, guys. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.
Save it.